Now, if you have any queries, you can ask to Dr. Manju. Participant can unmute and ask, or otherwise you can post in the chat box. I have already got one question from one preschool. The question is, Doctor, can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
The question is whether the milk powder is suggestible for baby after 6 months. That is the one question we got in the chat box.
Okay.
Shall I repeat the question?
Okay. No, you can. I heard it.
Okay.
Wasn't that right? Yeah, okay. See, basically, you're not supposed to give cow's milk less than 1 year of age. So, though we say when a family is very economically poor and they have no other solution, yes, they may give animals milk, but otherwise, generally less than 1 year, it's only exclusive breastfeeding along with other additional foods. So, what does a working mother do? The working mother can use a manual or an electrical pump, breast pump. They can pump breast milk, keep it in different glass glass bottles or glass cups, and then that can be given to the child when they are away at work. In this way, the benefit is that the breast milk will be continued to be expressed, or it will be stimulated. More and more breast milk will come when you start to pump the breast milk. Otherwise, as she asked, yes, formula has to be advised when the mother has no breast milk. There are very 1 to 2% of cases where there is a problem with breast milk absence when the mother is depressed or the mother is on antipsychotic drugs because of postpartum depression where the breast milk cannot be given, or when the child has preterm baby, 1, 2, or 3 triplets. Such cases, or in other cases, as she asked, in such cases when there is no other choice, yes, the only possibility then is a formula milk, which has to be given in the appropriate method with appropriate hygienic measures and should be given in the told frequency. But even after 6 months, we can reduce the amount of formula milk by giving complementary feeds, and we can add the formula milk in small amounts to the complementary feeds so that we can reduce the amount of formula milk budget of the family. I hope that has answered your question.
Good evening, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
I've got a small question. In my family,
yes,
one of my grandchild, he is not taking any milk.
Okay.
And what is the alternate? Because I wanted to suggest, as I'm practicing on traditional food. I've started an organization VOFL, that is Vegan Organic Food Line. So, and I'm specializing on this millet meals. And in that, we are giving millet juices and this vegan milk from millet.
Yes.
Is it good for a child? From when we can start giving this?
Okay. Now, your first question, can you tell me how old is this child? You mentioned grandchild.
1 year. Completed 1 year.
Okay, so the other methods of giving is, instead of giving milk, many people tell about the milk, the child doesn't like the smell. One or two suggestions is, one, you can give it as curds.
Okay.
Curds. Because all children, to my knowledge, like curds. So you can give up to, instead of giving 2 glasses of milk, which we say about 1 year, you can give as curds with a little sugar, curds with a little salt, or curds plain along with rice. Or you can, when you boil curd, as curd, what do you call it? Some curries we make with yogurt.
Yes.
But when you boil, the B complex is lost. So ideally, I would say use only plain curds it will compensate for the instead of milk. If not, as you suggested, I think I'm not really very sure, but I think you can give the millet milk from 1 year of age. But when you start off, always start off in small volumes and slowly step up. Like you start complementary feeding, it's very important that you start off in small volumes, maybe 1 to 2 teaspoons, wait for 3 to 4 days, then step up to a little more, and then slowly you can step up. It should not be a problem after 1 year of age. But below 1 year, maybe it is not really advisable.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And one more child is having frequent diabetes.
Frequent?
diarrhea.
Okay. Now we need to define what you mean by diarrhea, because a child who passes formed or semi-formed stools frequently, that is not really diarrhea. So how do we assess this child? I have many people calling up and asking this. So what we do is we check the weight of the child. If the child's weight is okay, if the child is gaining weight appropriately, passing more number of stools, in more frequency of stools are more, it is not a problem. If the stools are watery, the water content is more, only then we can call it diarrhea, because even one large volume watery stool can be diarrhea and the child may need IV fluids. So it depends upon the water content. So generally, all children, including adults, we have a something called soon after food. There is an increased gastrocolic reflex. So the moment you eat food, there is a tendency for passing motion, passing stools. So, but that we cannot call as diarrhea. So it depends upon the water content. So if the child is gaining weight appropriately, it should not be a problem. But if the child is not gaining weight appropriately, you need to check the stool pH, stool reducing sugar, and the stool routine. And if there is more than 5 cells or something like that, we need to treat it. Otherwise, I think just by changing the food, for example, apple, our robusta, or the green banana plantain which we have in Tamil Nadu, Morris Pala, we tell, no? Morris Pala. That one, or you use Nendrapalam, that is the Ethapalam which you call in Malayalam. So all this can actually cause hardening of stools and can help to reduce the frequency of stool and the diarrhea. So dietary management after checking off the stool may be the solution to your problem. Is it okay?
Yes, thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, doctor. We have 3 more questions from the participants in the chat box. Shall I read one by one? We have only short time.
Sure. Yeah.
One question from Arias Nair. Is there any problem to give spices to 2.5-year-old kid? And the kid is not at all tolerating a mild spice. That
Okay.
is her query.
Okay, the problem is actually from 6 months when we started complementary foods, slowly we have started rice and slowly we have increased the spices. What happens is we have been giving the child a bland diet up to 2.5 years, and suddenly we are trying to add spices. So by the time the child is 1.5 to 2 years, the child is well aware of all this. So what you can now do is slowly start. You really have to start doing small. Actually, you can give spices, you can give chili in small amounts. So I have a small suggestion is when you make dosa and idli, in those chutneys you can slowly add a little spices. Slowly step up the spices. One method. Two, when you add spices in these curries, you can add a little jaggery to it so that the spices tone down for the child. That is one way out. And slowly in front of the child, you should start touching that curry which is a little spicy and tell, wow, it's very great, and make expressions of terrible taste. I'm sure you won't believe it. The children are absolute monkeys. They copy whatever we do and they will be happy with it. Only suggestions, but actually, yes, you should start small spices from 1 year of age, but the spices should be always toned down, not to our level. Next question.
Clear. Thank you, doctor. And the question is
Next.
from one of the coordinator from
Yes.
Karnataka, Gayatri
Yes.
Amoga. The children are not ready to taste healthy food and they like to taste only junk food. That is the concern for all mothers. That is the question from Amoga.
Okay, actually, looking back, you look into your own conscious. Who initiated these children to junk food? We take them to places. So what I would suggest, I always tell patients is, one, when you go to any mall, please take them to the vegetable section. Please tell children to pick up the vegetables, pick up the fruits and put it into your bag. When you start cooking at home, just tell them to wash the vegetables, allow them to stir on the gas, allow them to serve it onto the table. So once you get involved in cooking healthy food, involving them in the shopping, in the washing, in the cutting, in the cooking, you won't believe it. They will naturally, Amma, when are you making that next? I will help you. You won't believe it. It will happen. I'm sure about that. Two, all healthy junk food is one we initiate. See, now actually before, our parents never took us out for food. Maybe on a birthday, maybe on a wedding. So I think the problem starts within us, within each one of us, including me. So I think we need to start from home And I think helping them out, asking them to help us in the kitchen, asking them to add the spices, asking them to stir, I think that will make a huge difference. And one more method is, as she said, junk food. Should tell them the next junk food will come only if you eat 5 days of healthy food. And you won't believe it, they will do it. Next, the mothers tell me they're not eating any food without this. Just don't bother 1 day, 2 days. Third day they will eat even raw rice without anything. So it's just a question of patience and just a question of not pampering them too much. Just finding more time for your child. I think that is a solution to this problem. So tell them to take healthy food and give them reward as junk food after on the weekend 1 day, one meal. I think that will make a difference. Thank you. The next.
Thank you, doctor. Next question is from Adulya Pradhapan. Is it advisable to give health drinks like Complan and other pediatric supplements to kids? That is the question.
First, you need to check your weight because I know a lot of children parents who are giving it when they're already overweight. So it's very important that none of the, in fact, I put it out like a story in the sense that if my son is getting in maths 97, 98, 99, should I send the child for maths tuition? I asked the mother. The mother says, no, you don't have to send. So exactly, if your child is appropriate weight for age, you do not have to do any supplements. So this Complan or anything else, it does not matter to a child who has got appropriate weight. A 2-year-old child needs to be 12 kilos, 3 years, 14, 4 years, 16, 5 years, 18 kilos, 6 years, 20, 7 years, 22, 8, 24. So you have a specific weight for the child for every age. Okay, it will have a small variation depending upon the height of the child. Please do not overload your children because already we are facing, thanks to COVID, one problem was obesity, sitting at home, seeing a lot of TV, eating food, mothers able to make a lot of fresh food at home, and children eating more food. So in this circumstances, a health drink is important only if the child has got less weight and the child is not able to give up. The parents are working, they are not able to give appropriately sufficient food at each time. In such cases, maybe it has a role, otherwise not really. But you need to check the weight of the child before you start any health drink. And please, no carbonated drinks. Okay.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. It was a very fruitful, interactive section.
I
And
hope
for
you
the participants, for the queries. And there's a universal saying that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But now we cannot have an apple without peeling the skin. OFSSA's vision represents the logo itself. To have an apple happily without peeling the skin. We have our living logo here to join with us. She represents the entire children of our nation. I welcome our living logo Grandmaster Tirtha Vivek to propose vote of thanks. She is India Book of Record and Asia Book of Achiever. I welcome her. Over to Tirtha.
Good evening, all. I am Dr. Vivek. I am so happy to express my sincere gratitude on behalf of OFSSA to Dr. Abraham Varghese and Dr. Manju for providing us with the valuable information on healthy food habits. Thank you, dear doctors. I also would like to thank all OFSSA national and the state leaders and the coordinators for organizing this national webinar.
Thank you, Tirtha.
I requesting all the participants to continue with the support for our further webinars also. OFSSA is planning to organize webinar series on food safety every month, second and fourth Saturday. So I welcome all the participants for the continued support and participation in the upcoming webinar series. Once again, I thank each and everyone, all OFSSA leaders, Dr. Manju, Dr. Abraham Varghese, and all the participants joined here. Thank you all.